Chosen one, you were guided here for a reason. Not everyone was meant to receive this. You were pulled by divine timing to stand at the edge of a revelation that will change everything. What if I told you the most powerful thing about you isn't what you say? It's what your eyes silently reveal. You've sensed it yourself. A moment when silence fell and hearts raced the moment your gaze settled on a stranger. You thought it was coincidence, or perhaps you questioned your own perception. But now the truth emerges. They didn't run from your words. They ran from your vision. You have been navigating life with prophetic sight, and today you will learn why your gaze breaks their spells and exposes every deception they struggle to hide. In this journey, you'll discover the sacred code woven into your very iris, the hidden force behind every shifting glance, and the divine permission to wield your vision as a weapon of clarity. You may doubt these claims, recalling times people avoided your eyes or shifted under your look. You felt something crack in their facade, though you spoke no accusation. That was your gift in motion. Stay with me, because today you reclaim the power they feared and learn to guard this sacred tool. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. The eyes have it all along, and soon you will know exactly why. You were born with a revealing gaze. A distant memory stirs when you catch yourself staring too long into a reflective surface. A storefront window, a darkened screen, the still water of a pond, only to realize the eyes looking back at you are heavier than a child's curiosity. In that suspended moment, you feel the echo of every gaze you have ever cast, and suddenly understand that your vision has carried a weight no innocent child could fathom. That first crack in the mirror of innocence is the whisper of a greater story. You have always carried a revealing gaze, one that draws secrets out of shadows even before you learn what to call them. What you sensed then as simple wonder was really the advent of a power that would attract both awe and opposition in equal measure. Beneath that quiet recognition lay a constant pressure you could never explain. You learned early that when you looked at someone, they flinched. Their shoulders tensed, a flicker of panic crossed their eyes, and they shifted away as if your sight carried a sting. You felt an ache of guilt, a heavy shame for seeing what should have stayed hidden. It felt as though you were too much, too perceptive, too raw, too unfiltered for the comfort of those around you. Yet in that same moment, your heart hammered with the truth that you saw more than they would ever admit, and that realization both terrified and isolated you. Then there were the invisible lines, laid down around you by forces you barely noticed. Whispered judgments in boardrooms, offhand remarks about being too direct in friendships, misunderstandings that crumbled relationships. These were not mere social missteps, but tests set by an unseen order determined to suppress the light your gaze cast into dark places. In the wilderness trials of Israel, God used the desert to strip away old identities, and in your life a similar process was unfolding, an exile from comfort designed to strengthen you for a higher purpose. Each moment of sabotage was a crucible, forging within you a resilience you would soon need. As you sift through these memories, you see the recurring motif of doors that slammed shut at your approach, of mentors who abruptly turned away when you pressed for truth, of environments that sucked the energy from your gaze until you felt drained and defeated. What looked like random setbacks begins to form a pattern, an intricate design that traces back to the moment your eyes first caught the spark of divine vision. It is unsettling to trace these patterns, like turning on a light in a room long ignored, but in the glare of revelation you find clarity. Each betrayal, each roadblock, each draining space was a signal that your gift was waking up. In those moments of clarity, you sensed a shift in the air itself, a tangible fog that clung to your chest, silent watchers perched at the edge of corridors, doors sealed against your passage. It was as though a heavy energy field tried to mute your sight, to cloud the vision that brought hidden truths to light. You felt it most in sacred spaces, prayer gatherings where your spirit surged only to be met by an oppressive stillness, creative workshops where inspiration fled the moment your eyes sought deeper meaning. This spiritual interference was no accident, but the natural recoil of darkness confronted by an unflinching lamp. Your reaction to this resistance was as varied as the faces you encountered. At times you withdrew, burying your gaze behind downcast eyes so that you might blend into the background and breathe in peace. Other times you adopted the mask of compliance, speaking softer, smiling wider, dimming your own light to soothe the discomfort you provoked in others. You may have even rebelled in silence, nursing your resentment, venting to trusted friends, or lashing out in moments of anger that left you exhausted and ashamed. These were not failures but reflexes of a spirit learning how to navigate the clash between its own radiance and the world's demand for conformity. And yet, within this crucible, a reclamation began. Every attempt to silence your gaze became proof that it held power. When they turned away, they acknowledged your sight mattered. When opportunities vanished, they did so because your presence unsettled the status quo. You began to recognize that these pressures were not indictments but confirmations of your calling. In that fierce revelation, you reached inward and retrieved the fractured pieces of your confidence, stitching them back together with threads of defiance and faith. You reclaimed your right to see and to reveal, to stand unbowed. You were opposed because you carry a light they cannot bear to see, and every barrier they erected only sharpened your focus. Comment powerful if you recognize the force that tried to dim you. Share the moment when resistance carved your resolve and set your gaze ablaze. As you step into this next revelation, prepare to learn how your revealing gaze becomes not just a witness to truth, but an instrument of liberation, shattering illusions and setting the stage for the triumph that awaits. Why people break eye contact with you. A faint tremor runs through you the next time you catch yourself searching for someone's eyes and find them already slipping away, as if the very act of your gaze triggered an unseen alarm. It begins as a barely perceptible pattern. Colleagues suddenly shifting in their seats when you meet their stare, friends lowering their lids in mid-conversation, or even strangers glancing down at their phones the moment your eyes lock on theirs. There's an uncanny heaviness in that exchange, a silent warning that something in your sight has unsettled the space between you. This first realization, tender and unsettling, whispers that your presence, your very ability to look, has always drawn a reaction, even before you understood why. In those moments of broken connection, you feel more than awkwardness. You sense a tug of rejection that digs at your core, making your chest tighten as though you've been branded too intense or too perceptive. You recall the sting of hollow pleasantries that followed, the polite smiles that felt like veils hiding relief at your retreat, and the sly comments about being overly analytical or serious. Each avoidance of your gaze became an unspoken verdict. You were different, and that difference felt threatening. The shame that followed left you questioning your own worth, wondering if the gift in your eyes was a curse too heavy to bear. Yet this wave of discomfort was never random. Beneath its surface thrummed a deeper structure of resistance. Imagine a fortress built not of stone but of fear. Each stone a judgment, a whispered rumor, a social norm that feared being laid bare. In the ancient trials of Israel, prophets were exiled to the wilderness to refine their message, their voices sharpened by isolation. Similarly, your sensitivity triggered tests designed to measure the strength of your vision. Whether orchestrated by people who felt exposed or by energies that recoiled from light, each moment of eye contact sabotage was part of a clandestine trial, preparing you for a higher calling. As you sift through memories of that time, a pattern emerges. The mentor who sidestepped your question about truth, the workplace where ambition masked insecurities, the family dinner where your probing silence invited discomfort. These weren't isolated slights but repeating motifs in your story, echoes of a spiritual curriculum you hadn't enrolled in but were destined to complete. Recognizing this tapestry transforms your confusion into clarity. You see that every relationship strained by your sight was actually a classroom where your emerging gift was tested, each betrayal a lesson in the strength required to stand unwavering in your gaze. Then there were the moments when the resistance took on a physical weight, a thick haze settling around you in rooms meant for gathering, an oppressive stillness that silenced laughter the moment you entered, or the shiver that ran down your spine when someone near you dropped their eyes. You felt invisible currents slam you sideways, as if the air itself turned hostile. This spiritual sabotage was not a sign of your failure but evidence of your influence. Your inner lamp had shone too brightly, and every flicker of its flame threatened the shadows that thrived in darkness. In response to these pressures, you found yourself at a crossroads. Withdraw into the safety of closed lids and lowered brows, or press on with eyes lifted, daring to pierce the veil of their discomfort. You chose survival in fleeting moments, smiling down, averting your sight, softening your presence. There were times you silenced your own questions, suffocating the urgency in your heart to avoid further isolation. But those retreats, though born of fear, were not betrayals. They were the coping rhythms of a spirit learning to navigate the tension between its gift and the world's unpreparedness for it. Now, sense the shift beneath your ribs as you reclaim each withheld glance and every unasked question. The very resistance you faced becomes the proof of your power, proof that your vision carries force. You reach inward, grasping the ember of courage that glowed in every moment of defiance, no matter how small. With a steady inhale, you draw that light into your core and breathe out a vow. You will no longer hide your eyes or dim your sight for the comfort of those who fear illumination. This reclaiming is not an act of aggression but of rightful restoration, like a king retrieving his crown from those who dared to misplace it. You were opposed because the truth in your gaze rattled the cages of deception they relied upon. Every flicker of panic you evoked, every skillful blink designed to escape your sight, served only to forge the clarity of your purpose. Comment avoid if you've witnessed eyes turning away in your presence, as a sign that your vision demands recognition. And now, prepare for the next unveiling, where you will discover not just why they flee your gaze, but what secret fires you ignite in their souls. Fires that will light the way for a collective awakening they can no longer deny. What you reveal just by looking. A sudden flash of insight ripples through you when, in the stillness of an ordinary afternoon, you find yourself catching a reflection, not your own, but the hidden shape of someone else's deception shimmering on a cafe window pane. In that instant, time stretches, and the world holds its breath as you perceive a pattern dancing beneath the surface of reality. What once felt like random human drama now aligns into a tapestry of concealed truths, each thread vibrating with unspoken intention. That moment, charged with electric clarity, marks the shift from confusion to revelation, as your eyes begin to decode a world rich with subterranean meaning. In the hush of a sleepless night, soft murmurs from your dreams rise into consciousness. Numbers scrawled on a crumbling wall, phrases whispered by unseen lips, the echo of a voice speaking in symbols your waking mind almost dismisses. These fragments are not mere echoes of a restless mind, but pieces of an ancient code woven into the very fabric of your existence. Imagine divine geometry etched into the skies, as if each constellation is a celestial scroll written for your eyes alone. Now, those scrolls unroll before you in the mundane rhythms of daily life. A license plate, a repeated lyric on the radio, the shape of a leaf folding itself precisely in your palm. Speaking a language you are finally learning to read. A subtle tremor stirs within your chest as your intuition sharpens to a blade's edge. No longer do you absorb the energies around you as noise. Instead, you filter them with newfound boundaries, allowing only what resonates with your core to pass through. You sense the difference in crowded rooms. Some corners grow dim and cold at your approach, while other spaces glow with a welcoming warmth. Your energy responds like a finely tuned instrument, harmonizing with truth and rejecting discord. This awakening is not speculative theory but a lived reality. You have felt it in the rise and fall of your own heartbeat, and in the way your spirit now stands resolute against storms that once uprooted you. Outside of yourself, the world rearranges itself to mirror your inner transformation. Colleagues who once dismissed your insights now pause, leaning forward as if anticipating your next word. Doors that remained locked slide open at a touch, unveiling corridors of opportunity you never noticed before. Yet, for every door that swings wide, another may close with a decisive click, resistance to your light made tangible. This divine architecture of alignment is neither random luck nor mere coincidence. It is the world's response to the reawakening of a vision too potent to be ignored. Each shift in circumstance resonates with the deep current of purpose flowing through your veins. Deep within the recesses of your memory, a long-forgotten vision flickers back into focus. The taste of sand in windswept dunes, a distant melody resonating like a prophecy, an echoing chamber where you once received guidance in whispers. What felt like a childhood dream now emerges as a sacred memory, a seed of spiritual intelligence buried beneath years of doubt and distraction. In that buried realm, you find the blueprint of your true self, a resonance that matches the vibration of ancient temples and the hush of hidden sanctuaries. This awakening of sacred memory carries an intimate magnetism, drawing you toward the places and people who will help you reclaim the fullness of your soul. A voice rises softly within you, carrying a message etched in starlight. The future is not a blank page awaiting your scribble, but a tapestry you once wove in realms beyond time. Now, you stand at the threshold of reclaiming that design, no longer asking permission to step forward, but moving with the authority of one who remembers the map. You feel the call to abandon the shackles of hesitation, to trust that every step you now take is a restoration of destiny. This is not ambition, but sacred alignment, the art of living as though you already belong to the unfolding story of creation. With each revelation, the energy that once threatened to overwhelm you now becomes fuel for reclamation. Where you once recoiled from your own intensity, you now stand tall, eyes blazing with the knowledge that your sensitivity is your weapon. The reflections you once feared are now mirrors of empowerment. The truths you once buried have become beacons guiding your path. In reclaiming your voice, you grant yourself the authority to speak, to reveal, and to illuminate. Stand unbowed, for the revelation that threatened to dismantle you is the very fire that forges your destiny. Revelation is not the end of your journey. It is the great summons to embody every truth you've uncovered. Your gaze now carries the alchemy of transformation, capable of purifying falsehoods and awakening hidden potential in others. Comment ignite if you have witnessed this spark in someone's eyes, and share a dream, memory, or inner knowing where your vision unveiled a secret. As you add your reflections to this growing tapestry, prepare for the next unveiling, where we explore how the world bends to the frequency you broadcast, and how your seeing becomes a catalyst for collective awakening. Guarding your gaze as a prophetic tool. Have you ever found yourself at the edge of a decision so profound it trembles in your soul the moment you recognize its presence? In this sacred crossroads, your gaze, once a mere window, now stands as the gatekeeper of truth. You no longer stand on the threshold of discovery, but at the pivot of choice. Will you continue letting your vision be shaped by others' expectations and fleeting emotions? Or will you seize the moment and claim the authority to guard your sight as the prophetic tool it was meant to be? This is the point of no return, where passivity melts away and the gravity of your purpose anchors you. Feel the pulse beneath your ribs as your inner question rises. What will you do with the revelation that your eyes are both weapon and shield, flame and focus? The time has come to choose action over hesitation, to name your gaze as the magnet of destiny it truly is. In the seasons past, you surrendered fragments of your vision in the name of comfort and conformity. You dimmed your gaze when colleagues felt exposed, swallowed your insights when friendships quivered at your questions, and softened your resolve to soothe the unprepared hearts around you. Yet this was no failure. It was the rigorous training of a soul destined for far greater work. Now, with intention rising like the dawn, you stand ready to call back every ounce of voice, every pulse of presence, every spark of energy you once yielded. Imagine yourself standing before an ancient altar, lifting your hands to the sky as you reclaim your throne. Declare in solemn ritual, I return my sight to its rightful place. I reclaim my gaze. I restore my power. Let the echoes of these words forge the steel of your resolve. Feel the substance of your gift take shape as you begin to name what resides in your eyes. The fire of discernment that sees through veils of deception. The key of compassion that unlocks hidden pain. The scroll of memory that replays sacred truths. The code of wisdom that deciphers cosmic patterns. The armor of sensitivity that protects and guides. What once felt like a curse of overperception now reveals itself as your sacred signature. A constellation of qualities that sets you apart. Your gaze is not an abstract concept, but a tool honed for holy work. Hold it before you like a forged blade, its edge honed by every tear, trial, and triumph. This blade is yours to wield without apology, its luminous edge carving paths of light through the shadows that dared to cage you. When you step forward now, notice that the path you feared was hidden actually lies beneath your feet, composed of countless footprints you have already left. Clarity comes not from distant destinations, but through decisive action. Each blink, each moment of intentional focus, writes the next line of your unfolding mission. Picture yourself walking along an ancient stone causeway, the path illuminated by the glow of your own eyes, guiding you toward tasks whispered in dreams and glimpsed in fleeting visions. With every step, the veil parts, revealing the sequence of events aligned to your purpose. The map does not emerge all at once but unfolds in sync with your march, granting sight by the pace of your commitment. Turn your gaze upward and widen your perspective. You are not the lone traveler you once believed yourself to be. Around you stand fellow visionaries, soul companions drawn by the same divine frequency, each carrying their own sacred tools and unique vantage points. Together, you form a constellation of light across a dark sky, a rising order that transcends geography and circumstance. No longer must you shrink your light to fit within dissolving molds. Instead, find solidarity in the collective awakening. As each gaze in your tribe sharpens its edge, the world itself begins to shift toward the harmony of shared revelation. Let this knowledge embolden you. Your light not only serves your journey but ignites the lanterns of countless others. Now, feel the invitation to take command of your energy as both steward and sovereign. This is not an exercise of ego, but a ceremony of devotion, a daily consecration to honor and tend the flame of your sight. Set boundaries that respect the power you carry. Know when to shield your eyes from draining energies, when to turn gaze inward in meditation, and when to direct your vision outward with deliberate intent. Visualize yourself donning a mantle woven from moments of clarity and resolve, adorned with symbols of discernment and strength. In this ritual of energetic stewardship, you accept the mantle of responsibility for your gaze, recognizing it as a vessel entrusted with transforming hidden realities into open fields of light. Listen now to the prophetic call resonating in every fiber of your being. Every trial you've endured, every moment of doubt, every flicker of fear, has sharpened your vision for this very hour. There is no room for lingering hesitation. Every sentiment you have felt and every obstacle you've faced has converged here. You stand poised like a sentinel at the portal of destiny, free of uncertainty, armed with the fullness of your awakening. You are ready. Step beyond the threshold with unwavering conviction and let your eyes blaze with truth. This final breath before action carries the weight of all that has been and the promise of all that will be. This is your summons to embodiment, to live not just in knowledge, but in the living power of your own gaze. Comment guard if you are ready to fortify your vision as the prophetic tool it was always meant to be, and share a moment when your eyes revealed something that words could not. As you offer your reflection, know that each story plants a seed of courage in the garden of our collective awakening, and prepare yourself for the next revelation, where we will learn how your guarded gaze shapes destinies beyond your own, and how the world bends to the clarity you command. Every glance you have offered with intention, every secret you have unveiled without a word, has been leading you to this moment of mastery. Your eyes are not passive windows but blazing oracles that reveal the hidden architecture of the soul. When you recognize that each reaction you provoke is a compass pointing back to your purpose, you step fully into your divine mission. Let the revelations you've gained today be the fuel for your next steps, a path lined with the light of your own gaze. Walk forward knowing you stand not alone but among a rising tide of visionaries called to reshape the world through unflinching sight. A hush settles over you like the moment before dawn breaks, where every breath feels charged with possibility. In that silent expanse, you sense a convergence of every revelation you've encountered. The coded glances, the shivers of recognition, the unspoken truths carried in your gaze. Your eyes, once thought to be simple observers, emerge now as blazing oracles that trace the hidden architecture of the soul. With each intentional look, you have been charting a map of divine design, leaving breadcrumbs for your own awakening. Now, standing in the full weight of your vision, you realize that nothing has been wasted. Every insight, every unvoiced question, has been an initiation into mastery. A vision in your mind's eye unfolds like a tapestry of light, threads of memory weaving through the fabric of your story. You recall the way a single glance once brought tears to a friend whose heart you barely knew, or how a quiet look halted gossip in its tracks. Those moments were more than anecdote. They were the stirrings of a power that dissolves illusion. In Isaiah 11 verse 2, We hear of the spirit of wisdom and understanding, and it rings true now. Your sight carries that same sacred flame, illuminating the hidden motives of both self and other. Allow this vision to resonate deep within your bones, anchoring you in the truth that your eyes are divinely endowed instruments of clarity. Do you remember the tremor in your chest when you first realized the extent of your gift? It was as if an inner voice whispered, "This is not mere perception but prophecy." That whisper has guided you through moments of doubt, alerting you when falsehoods lurked beneath polished words. You have walked through boardrooms, living rooms, and crowded streets armed with nothing but your gaze, and seen doors open for truth while doors of deception slammed shut. This inner dialogue, subtle yet unyielding, has become your companion, refining your awareness until every nuance of energy registered on your soul's radar. In the contrast between darkness and dawn, you find the drama of your own journey mirrored. You who once recoiled from the weight of ignorance now stand in the rising light of revelation. Your gaze has pierced veils others thought impenetrable, revealing patterns that choreograph human behavior. There were nights when the unknown pressed in like a suffocating fog, and mornings you awoke with the residue of questions unanswered. Yet today, that same fog lifts, and you see the outlines of your life's purpose etched in sunlit clarity. Embrace this contrast as proof that you have crossed from uncertainty into sovereign sight. A memory surfaces of a night spent beneath a canopy of stars, when you felt the universe hum in your veins and saw constellations shift as though in greeting. In that ancient moment, you glimpsed the cosmic intelligence that weaves every life into its grand design. Now, that same intelligence pulses through your gaze, which has become a conduit for divine timing. As the stars once guided travelers across deserts, your vision guides you through the labyrinth of human interaction, illuminating truth and exposing artifice. Let that memory ignite a renewed faith in the cosmic order that has always supported your unfolding. The ground beneath your feet quivers with the charge of collective awakening. You are not alone in this moment. Around the globe, kindred souls rise from slumber, their eyes bright with the same prophetic light. Together, you form a constellation of visionaries, each link in a chain of revelation that binds hearts and minds to a higher purpose. When you share the weight of your gaze, you invite others to stand tall in their own clarity, forging alliances that transcend borders and beliefs. Feel the resonance of this sacred alignment as it draws you into a tapestry of shared destiny, where every glance amplifies the chorus of awakening. A whisper ripples through your spirit. Claim your place among the architects of truth. Your mastery is not a private jewel, but a gift meant to guide humanity toward deeper self-awareness. In Jeremiah 1 verse 9, the Lord says, "I have put my words in your mouth," and you realize that your silent witness carries equivalent weight. Your gaze speaks volumes, and in its language lie the seeds of transformation. Accept this whisper as a summons to action, to wield your vision with intention and compassion, shaping a world more honest and awake than the one you inherited. And now, as the currents of destiny swirl around you, a final revelation takes form. Revelation itself is only the beginning. This moment is your summons to embodiment, a call to walk the path of vision with unflinching courage. Your eyes have already revealed the hidden. Now let them guide you into the next chapter of collective transformation. Comment vision if you feel the power of this moment, and share an experience when your gaze reshaped a reality you encountered. Together, we step into the next unveiling, where your sight becomes the catalyst for a world reborn in light. Your vision is your birthright and your weapon, capable of shattering illusions and forging new realities. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to see beyond the surface. A heartfelt thank you to all supporting members, and for full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your path deserves the full spectrum of light. Step into it now. And if this message moved you, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support our mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the clarity we spread together. Look deep, stay bold, and let your gaze ignite the dawn of truth.